So just a few days after I dropped the video pointing out the extreme racism pointed towards Dricus DuPlessis from Israel Adesanya, calling him racial slurs openly.
But who the fuck is this cracker to tell me who the fuck I am?
Without anyone in the mainstream media pointing it out, calling it out, or getting upset, this absolute and utter shill from MMA Junkie goes on this narcissistic rant.
Because we don't need any more of this racist type of talk or any kind of colonizer energy that DuPlessis.
Shut up, bitch!
This guy's talking about colonizer energy and calling out some really mainstream UFC fighters for being edgy. In other words, being racist. That's exactly what he meant by this. We're going to have a little look, see can we debunk a little bit about what he is saying and just kind of push it right back on him.
Paddy Pimblett, losing decisions and getting the win and shouting anti-immigrant stuff. You have Sergei Pavlovich being rewarded with heavyweight spots after sharing and tagging the UFC in white power memes. Colby Covington, saying the filthy Brazilian thing and seeing his career skyrocket. I could be here for days.
I'm going to kill you.
So, before we even get to the Dricus DuPlessis stuff, let's look at what he actually meant and what he insinuated with the Paddy Pimblett stuff. Here we have an article, UFC Paddy Pimblett calls out Ili Topuria a mongrel, adding to his history of racist and xenophobic comments. So I'm going to skip to the highlights here. I guess this is what this Dan Tom guy is talking about. In 2018, Paddy Pimblett told a UFC fighter, Mohamed Mohav, Russian immigrant who represented England in the freestyle wrestling competition, that he was a fraud and not from here. Given the fact that he's Russian, how can he be from England? Done. That's that one debunked. The following year, Pimblett blamed the United Kingdom's economic problems on immigrants who don't even speak English. This country is a fucking mess because of the government, lad. It's simple as that. Lots of immigrants have landed in this country, took over full areas. Some places don't even speak English. And you're telling me that's good for the country? Pimblett said on Twitter. Again, nothing but facts here from my good friend Paddy Pimblett. 100% facts. When you have the likes of mainstream outlets like Sky News pointing out the fact that there is 400 illegal immigrants landing on the beaches of Britain every day who do not speak English, you're telling me that's not a burden on the economy and we're not supposed to talk about it? We're supposed to be diverse and pleasant to our new neighbours? No thanks. He told the truth, nothing but the truth. So that brings us to the racial white power tweet from Sergei Pavlovich. So he posted this. This is the meme. It has a bunch of memey stuff written all over it. But people took offense to the fact that he said he was 260 pounds of white power. I guess that can be misconstrued as a language barrier thing. It's just words at the end of the day. It's nothing to be condemned by. As with this Dan Tom guy, he's extremely upset about this tweet and this meme. And he can't believe that the UFC have allowed it. I guess the energy wasn't the same last weekend with Israel Adesanya. So Pavlovich went on to apologize, saying that it was a misunderstanding with the language barrier, that someone else actually did the meme for him. He removed the meme and apologized. But obviously it's not enough. Not enough for this dude. I guess the main crux of this guy's argument, the reason that his knickers are in a knot, is because Dricus DuPlessis referred to the incidents that are happening in South Africa where farmers are being wiped out en masse by black raiders that are roaming the countryside. Now, Bloody Elbow did an article about this, praising the fact that Dricus pointed out what was going on and basically asked for it to stop. Used his voice in a positive way to actually stop people being murdered. You think that would be good? You think that would be worthy of praise by the mainstream media or the MMA shills? No, because the people were white. And we don't want to save the white people. We only want to save the black people from 150 or 200 years ago. And this guy talks about Googling, you do the research, go look up apartheid, go look up colonization, which is very, very interesting when you do, because all you got to do is the barest of Google search and you will find yourself balls deep in articles like this. African chiefs urged to apologize for the slave trade. Nigerian civil rights groups say tribal leaders and ancestors sold people to slavers and should say sorry to the likes of the US and Britain. Can you imagine it? Africans having to say sorry to British people and American people, because we all know that the British and Americans and generally Europeans weren't allowed to enter Africa during the slave trade because of the threat of infection. So the slave traders of Africa would round these people up and tear them across the country. Many thousands of people dying on that journey just so as they could get a few shillings and a few bits of gold handed over to them from Europeans. So again, This is history. This guy talks about Googling it and doing some research. Go and do it. It's not hard. Here we have the Wall Street Journal when the slave traders were African. These can go on forever. How the world turns a blind eye to African slavery. This is from 2022. As of November 2022, and this is probably small scale, there's 40,000 Africans being enslaved by Africans. Where is the energy for that? Do we not condemn these people? Or is it only white people from 200 years ago that deserve condemnation? Because that's what it seems to be across the board. And I'm absolutely sick of hearing about it. Keep the same energy, please. You talk about being a journalist, do some fucking journalism, punk. So this guy has taken massive offense to what Dricus DuPlessis said it was a complete and overt political statement and it should be left out of MMA. Whilst on the other hand, we have Bloody Elbow, a rival to MMA Junkie, coming out and being very positive towards what Dricus DuPlessis said, saying that this was an empathetic statement and that more of it should be done. So where do we land here? Whereabouts are we? It's simple. This guy is a libtard. This guy is a shill. And as I mentioned in my last video, when we spoke about the fake Africans, Kamaru Usman lived there for 5 minutes. Israel Adesanya lived there for 5 minutes. Of course, Francis Ngannou, a different story completely. But as I told Kamaru Usman, Israel Adesanya, you can go and get fucked. Same goes for this guy. He's an absolute shill and a piece of shit.
Colonizer energy.